We're here with head wrestling coach at Spencer High School. Tell us a little bit about your wrestling background, where you went to school, and some of your background.
Yeah, so I grew up in Waterloo and wrestled for the Wahawks for 4 years there, and grew up in the Wahawk Club. Had all those 1960, 1970 guys as my club coaches. Dave Moses and Marty Dickey and all Dave Hackett, all these guys that I got to roll around with on a daily basis, and they were all friends with my dad who went to West, and so it was a great place to grow up as a wrestler, and that's where I fell in love with the sport.
Then where did you go to college?
I actually decided not to go to college to wrestle. Ended up just kind of doing my thing at University of Iowa, and then ended up moving back to Waterloo, and there was a coaching change that happened, and Dave Hackett was actually going to be the interim head coach. And being a friend of my dad's and a coach of mine, he reached out and heard I was in town and asked if I wanted to help out with the program. And I said, yeah, sure, I'll jump in there and roll around with some guys. I kind of looked at it like it was going to be a little bit of a workout thing, and ended up falling in love with the sport all over again from a different angle as a coach and a different student of the sport. And then that's kind of what pushed me into going into education myself, and started taking night classes to get my teaching license, and then started my coaching career in Waterloo, where I just left. Then got to coach with some great guys, and again, Dave Hackett and Kobe Yoder, who's over at Gilbertville now, and Brett Whelan, who's over at Waverly now. And we had Justin Galbraith, who was a former Wahawk alum, and Ali Ranavardi, who's got a stud kid coming up through the ranks. And it was just a good time, and I've been around great wrestlers, great men, basically my whole life.
If I'm not mistaken, were you the coach then when Waterloo did West go up to the Clash up in Rochester?
I was coaching then, yes.
And that's been a few years ago, but I kind of remember that.
Yeah.
Because I don't know if you knew it, but I've been involved with the Clash ever since they started.
Yeah.
So that's been 20 some years. So I got to see a lot of good teams come through there.
It was fun. I remember we had a kid, his name was Brett Blasberg. He was coming off of a state title, or state runner-up, sorry. And, we had some tough kids, and I think that's kind of where we got the invite to go up there that year. But I remember Brett getting beat by a kid. I don't remember where he was from, to be exact. I think he might have been from Mineral Point, Wisconsin. And he pinned Brett, and we were like, oh my God, this guy's a stud. And then they announced that this was like his 150th pin of his career and something like that. And I'm like, wow, this kid's the real deal, because he's pinning a returning state runner-up. It was a pretty big deal, and makes it more of a small world. Our superintendent here in Spencer now was coaching for Mineral Point at the time.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
What have you been able to do over the summertime then with the coronavirus? Have you been able to stay in touch with the kids at all?
Yeah, we got some mat time a little bit. Once they kind of opened up our weight room for our athletes here in Spencer to, get in there a little bit, we kind of made up a little bit of a structure to have kids come in the wrestling room. We started off with making sure that they were just kind of doing some drills and things on their own, and which was okay, because none of them have been on the mat since March. And so, knocked some rust off and just see how it went, stuff like that. But, slowly we got the kids back in there, and ended up going to a wrestling camp that we got to attend. So that was kind of nice that we were allowed to go to that, and got some mat time there, and back in Cedar Falls. So it was an interesting summer, to say the least.
When you said you opened up the wrestling room, or do you open that up as far as the weight room and everything to the other athletes as well?
The weight room, yeah, was opened up to the other athletes. Yep, absolutely.
How much do you encourage the multi-sport athlete?
A ton. I just put out on our Spencer Facebook page that ASICS came out with a new off-season football cleat, and it was a picture of a wrestling shoe. I mean, those are the kinds of guys we want to get out. And I'm lucky. I have our head football coach here in Spencer. His son wrestles for us, so he pushes wrestling hard. We got a lot of football players that come out for wrestling that, maybe a little bit late in the game, but they're still doing it and they're still making themselves better at football, and they make for great workout partners. And every once in a while you get this kid that comes in as a sophomore, junior that, is a contributor to the team and is just a really good athlete. So it works.
Do you help or do other coaching jobs besides the wrestling?
No, I do not. No.
I think you have probably 3 returning state qualifiers.
Yep.
What's your outlook for this year?
I'm excited for this year. We've got, like you said, 3 of our returning state qualifiers. We graduated one. One state qualifier is a sophomore, so he was a freshman last year at 220. So that's a big deal to qualify at that weight as a freshman, in my opinion. So we're excited for him, and we're excited for our 120 pounders back. And he was a state qualifier. He'll be a junior this year. And then we have our senior, lone senior qualifier from last year. It was a junior, and he'll be back. He was at 106. He'll more than likely be at 113 this year.
I'm assuming Logan's out for football then, correct?
Oh, yeah, for sure. Logan Huckfeld is a stud football player. He wrecks shop on the defensive line. He kind of came out of nowhere, though. He's a sophomore. They weren't really expecting him to do. I'm sure they had plans for him to get some varsity time and things like that. But we had a really good football team this year and made the 3rd round of that playoff. And he was definitely a contributing factor to all of that.
Watching a couple of the bigger guys here in the past few years up in Fargo, the footwork that wrestlers have and how much that contributes to that lineman like Logan in football. Those 2 sports just benefit each other so much.
Definitely. I mean, you look at a heavyweight match, it's 2 offensive linemen trying to push each other around some of the time. So, just knowing how to move your feet and move your hands and know where to put your hands and moves the guy a little bit just to get that little bit of an angle is a thing. And I know the football coaches, our offensive and defensive line coach, he loves wrestlers.
What kind of team goals do you have for the year then?
So right now, talking with some of our kids, and I don't set our team goals, our kids set the team goals. I'm just there to lead them on that path, and they want to win our Lakes Conference again. We won it last year, duals and the traditional tournament. They want to make regional duals and they want to make state duals. And, that's their ultimate prize as a team. And they want to get more champs in the conference tournament. They want to get more guys into state tournament. Us being 3A, we, don't have to go through sectionals this year again, but they're excited to, put on a show.
What kind of roles do you have your assistants do?
Everything that I do. They help plan practices. They help, they roll around with kids in the wrestling room. They're in the weight room with our kids, pushing them. They're going on runs with our kids in the season and our morning workouts and things like that. They're just as much of a part of the program as I am, for sure. They're vital.
Do you assign them certain roles or certain daily tasks?
No, I mean, we just kind of meld together, and we, if they see something that they feel like they can contribute, then they contribute and put it out there. And I got a great staff. I got Dave Schaefer, who's, been around forever as an assistant coach, and he's done this forever and ever and ever. And he's going to think he's not that old yet, but he jumps in there and talks about stuff and works with individual kids, works with groups of kids. And I've got, 3 other guys in that wrestling room with us that do the exact same thing.
And as long as you bring up Schaefer, he was just inducted into the National Wrestling Hall of Fame Iowa chapter.
He was. It's a big deal.
So it was pretty nice. It's nice to see his accomplishments being recognized.
Yeah, he's pretty well known, especially around here, out here in Northwest Iowa. People know Papa Schaaf, and he's had plenty of wrestlers, between his time at George and here in Spencer, where he's got guys that are out there, as coaches themselves. And we've got athletes now from their own kids are coming through our club program and things like that. It's great to see that second and third generation wrestler coming through, and he's had a role in all of that.
Do you have a youth program that meets in the summertime, or do they just kind of get going in the fall? And
no, we typically have one in the summer. I did not do one this summer just because of the virus and things like that. I didn't feel like it was necessary. It wasn't one of those things I was going to push and, end up with a handful of kids getting sick when they didn't need to and things like that. So typically we do. Typically we've got Northwestern College out here that runs a Greco freestyle club, Zappas, and Coach Dahl. So we got kids that'll do that in fourth grade on up. And then, just some open mat type things over the summer and take them guys to camps too. And I've got 2 boys that wrestle in it. So, they're along for the ride for all this stuff.
How much on a typical year, how many kids do you usually get out?
For club?
Yeah.
We've got, last year we had 150 kids in our wrestling club in a little town of Spencer. So we're about a town of 10, 11,000 people, and our enrollment's roughly around 2,000. So you take our cheerleaders and our club and our managers and our high school wrestlers, everybody that's involved with wrestling and middle school on up, then, 1 out of 10 kids in this town has something to do with wrestling.
And maybe nobody else has looked that close either, but how big are your grades? You're talking about 150 a class.
Yeah, we're getting bigger. I think right now I can only tell you what we've got like in the middle school right now, because that's where I work, but and in the high school. But we're pushing like that 170, 180. We've got a couple classes of 190 in there too. So we're definitely growing, and I think that's definitely why we're back into 3A, where we feel like we belong and have been forever up until about 8 years ago.
What other things do you do in the summertime as a coach?
Weight room. We're in there 3 days a week, and I'm in there as a helper and help our weight room coordinator, and our football coach is in there every Monday, Wednesday, Friday. We're in there chugging kids along, and it's a great way to get kids to maybe try to get them involved in wrestling too. So weight room, open mats, taking kids to camps, rolling around with my own kids and doing that kind of stuff, bringing their buddies along and getting them more involved in wrestling in the off season and things like that. But that's what we do.
Other than coaching, what do you like to enjoy in the summertime? What are your hobbies?
Oh, we hunt, we fish. I don't do any hunting in the summer, but we go fishing and do our family stuff. We have a boat that we're 20 minutes from the lake, so we jump in the boat and go cruise around a little bit, and myself and my wife and our 3 kids.
Now, what do you like better, dual tournaments or individual tournaments? And how do you schedule your season to accommodate that?
I'm kind of 50-50. I don't know. I mean, I'm a traditionalist guy, so I like the individual tournaments. I like the feel, the atmosphere, especially in our bigger ones. We go to a couple, we host one too that's a 16-team tournament, and those are fun and exciting. Getting jacked up every round, it's exhausting as a coach, but I remember those as an athlete too, and I just think those are more fun. But I enjoy the Thursday night duels, and I enjoy the couple duels tournaments that we go to now. So I think having a good balance of duels and those traditional 8, 12, 16 man tournaments are always fun, and just finding that balance between them all.
Have you been able to get in I'll say like the 2-day tournaments where they're bracketed or round robin the first day and then bracketed the second day? Because you can get on a deal like that, you're getting in 8 to 10 matches a weekend.
For sure. Yeah, no, we had one here a couple of years ago. where we got into that, and it was kind of fun. I mean, and this one wasn't a round robin day one and then bracketed out on day two, but it was a dual tournament on Friday, and then it was the individual tournament with the same teams on Saturday. So they still came out with a boatload of matches, and we were pretty tired on Sunday when that weekend was over. But as we grow as a program and as we get bigger and better, and those are definitely things that we want to entertain for sure.
Now that I brought that up, you get in a couple of those tournaments, because I know a couple teams that do in December already, and by Christmas or by the break, some of those guys have 20 to 25 matches in already. How do you feel about the number of matches that these kids are getting in now? Because some of them are pushing that 60 match limit, or 60 matches a year now.
Yeah, it's crazy to think about, like 20 years ago when I was in high school, and you see a kid come in the high school wrestling tournament and they got like 30, 35 matches. Now we're watching guys coming in with 50, 60. So, and I don't know. I mean, beginning of the year, I want my kids to get as many matches as they can so that they can get exposed and see what they need to work on for the month of January and February. And, as long as your athletes and what they can handle and what they can't handle, I say bring it on.
And now that you say, back when you had 35 matches, when I was back in my day, as a senior, I did not get 20 matches in.
Yeah.
And that's how much it's grown.
Yeah. And, even when I was in high school, having those we never had double duels in Waterloo.
Right.
We wrestled that MVC conference. You wrestled the 6 teams on your side. You were the 7th, and, you only had 6 matches in your conference duels because they were all single duels. And I know that's changed over there too, but you come, when I moved out here, everything's double duel. So it's nice. It's good to get the more matches, the better. So.
And of course, maybe if I'd have won once in a while too, I could have got more matches in too. But
I agree. Maybe I would have lasted longer in some tournaments. I would have padded my record a little better.
How do you think the season's going to go with the way COVID is gone?
I'm optimistic. There's no way to tell. I mean, who knows? I think the football season was very successful. I think, a lot of people were looking at football as our gauge for wrestling. And I'm sitting there thinking, like, I got to watch the volleyball team and see how they're doing, because they're indoors and they have their Saturday tournaments and they've got their Thursday or Tuesday night volleyball matches and things like that. So out here, for us, I think it was a pretty successful volleyball season and football season as far as cases go. And, you look back to even baseball and see how that was successful. I don't remember exactly what the percentages were and how successful it was and things like that. But, I saw something on Twitter the other day where it was talking about the stats and the positivity rate or whatever it was for the schools that were left after that first round of the playoffs for football. And it seemed like it was pretty small. So I'm going to just sit here and say I'm going to be optimistic about everything and say we're going to try really, really hard to make sure that we're doing our things to mitigate the virus, and we can only take care of ourselves and help out those that, we're going to their places and when they come to us.
Yeah, I think I had seen some of the stats too as well, that you're talking about 95% finished the season that started. So the percentages are the percentage, like you said, are pretty optimistic.
They're in our favor for sure. Now you just, hope you're not one of those 5%, but yeah, exactly. I think we'd be pretty naive to think that, we were going to come out of this without some sort of, couple kids here and there coming out with this virus. And, that's what I've told our club people. It's what I've told, our high school parents and things like that. And we just got to try our best to keep it out.
Well, Adam, I want to thank you for taking the time out of your birthday child's night, and wish him happy birthday for us.
I will. Big number 7.
All right. Well, thanks for doing this.
Hey, no problem. Thanks.